What's up guys, welcome back. Some recent news caught my attention. I think we all saw, well at least the people who play Duel Links, that they introduced a new ban list into the game. As you see here, I personally don't play Duel Links, nor do I have any experience with decks or metagame there, but that's not the point of the video here. My main point is that, and as you see here, from the until now pretty much small ban list that they have on Duel Links on the game, the Duel Link devs are giving explanations to why they hit certain cards. We've seen Konami TCG do that in the past, I believe twice, but you know, there was some, actually a lot of backslash, you know, from the community as a consequence. But as you see here, cards like Rose Lover and Enemy Controller are semi-limited in Duel Links. In case of Rose Warrior, because, and I read, it's a very prominent card, and the decks with this card have had a high win ratio. In case of Enemy Controller, this card has been a staple for a long time, so they semi-limited because almost any deck can use it and often causes duels to end immediately. Well, where have we seen this, right? From what I can remember, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Konami or Konami employees attempted to give us an explanation to why they made certain choices on their ban list in the past. The first time was, I think, back in 2012 on the March 1st Forbidden and Limited list. I'm not going into full detail because I think we all know that this article was burned to death by the community. Again, just to show an example here, even the first thing that caught my attention, their first few reasons why they are introducing a ban list. Let me read them. First of all, to prevent a situation where you're feeling locked in, where you have to play with a certain card or cards or a certain deck. To keep it so there are choices for what deck you can play, avoid having one dominant deck. To restrict solitaire play decks, these are usually first turn combos or first turn combo decks where one duelist plays by themselves for 15 minutes, shuffling and summoning cards while their opponent twiddles his thumbs. And last, to eliminate cards that are confusing, cause games to stall out, create infinite loops, or can otherwise interfere with tournaments and make them unpleasant. Well, yeah, I think you get the point here, right? The second time I think was back in 2016, a couple of years ago, and I'm not really sure here in this particular article of the first few couple of lines here when they were specifically introduced, like much later when the article went up, or you know, they were introduced together with the article as soon as the article went online for the first time. As mentioning here, these particular lines are saying that the notes in this article are from the writer himself and not necessarily from Konami, right? So this brings me again with the topic or question where I started the video with is why is it so hard to give, at least for Konami, to give us, the players, an explanation why they hit every, or you know, some cards, some obvious, some less obvious. For example, Pendulum Saucer, or at least Astrograph Saucer on the most recent list. For example, we know why, right? They don't need to explain that. I think something like this can make things more transparent and again can stimulate a positive relationship between the player base and Konami. But it's of course not as easy as it seems, right? A couple of reasons, and I'm definitely forgetting some reasons, but again, like always, feel free to leave them if you know any. The first one here is people complain, players complain, and will always complain no matter what changes you will make. And I don't think this is a solid argument, or at least it will be a solid argument, like giving an explanation for, you know, not giving us explanation for cards to be hit. Another reason is, and I think this is the most important one, is Konami is of course a business, and as mentioned here on Reddit, it's normal that decks rotate and eventually will pretty much become less playable or outplayed by the, you know, the newer and probably more powerful decks. Simple power creep curve. Most games have to deal with this one, it's standard. You know, they need to sell packs, new product, this is nothing, you know, this is nothing new, nothing out of the ordinary. A small side note here is of course the timing of their lists, right? I mean, we've had top decks where people spent tons of money on and, you know, pretty much lost like a whole year, while some other decks, let's say Pepe, Performances and Pals from a couple of years ago, here in the TCG, people buying their Pendulum Sorcerers, their secret Pendulum Sorcerers, and then like 2 or 3 weeks into the new format, into the new, you know, Pepe format, we all know that format, Konami immediately, you know, hitting monkey board, etc, etc. So yeah, but again, this is like complete different discussion. So what gives? Should they start giving us an explanation for their choices? Again, keep the previously mentioned arguments in mind, because, and I think this is obvious, this is not so obvious or simple that it might seem for us players. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks so much, and feel free to leave a comment or like if you enjoyed the video. Beacom signing out. Peace.